Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. I'll just switch on the Instagram live as well. Just give me a moment. All right. So we're live on Instagram as well. So welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita, and today we will be studying the 11th chapter, 32nd verse, time, the all-devouring time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhagavad Gita 11:32 Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravriddho lokan samahartumiha pravrittah Ritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve yeva sthitaha pratyanikeshu yodhaah. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the personality of Godhead said, Kalah, time, Asmi, I am, Loka, of the worlds, Kshayakrit, the destroyer, Pravriddha, great, Lokan, all people, Samahartum, in destroying, Iha, in this world, Pravrittah, engaged, Rite, without, except for, Api, even, Tvam, you, Na, never, Bhavishyanti, will be, Sarve, all, Ye, who, Avasthitaha, situated, Prati Anikeshu, on the opposite sides, Yodhaha, the soldiers. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am that great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Purport: Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas. As stated in the Kathopanishad 1:225, Yasya Brahma cha kshatram cha ubhe bhavata odanah mrityur yasyopasechanam ka ithaveda yatra sah. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is the all-devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who was present on that battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight. Then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked, even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. So, we will learn about a little bit about time. Now, although in this verse Krishna said, except for you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Well, he's only speaking of the battlefield because eventually even the Pandavas left. So, all good and bad things in this world will come to an end. That is the law of the nature, law of material nature. Everything, good or bad, will come to an end. So, we, students of spiritual knowledge, students of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we should consider this very gravely. Time is a, they say time is a great healer. Time is actually the great destroyer, Kshayakrit. And because it also destroys memory, it sometimes heals. Because the memory, a painful memory, just as when it's happened, it's very painful, but eventually, matta smrita jnanam apohanam cha. Apohanam means forgetfulness. So that forgetfulness is the destruction of memory. And such memory, when it becomes faded, there is some relief from the pain of the situation. So, ultimately, time is actually the destroyer. Nothing changes when an event happens. Nothing changes, but over time, our memory of the event becomes a little bit faded and we come to terms with what has happened. So, the destruction of memory is also a destruction. And eventually, everything in this world will be destroyed. And that gives us perspective on what is worth pursuing. So, everything in this world is going to be destroyed. But we don't get destroyed. We, the souls, nahanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body gets destroyed, the soul, the Atma, is not destroyed. So we should always concern ourselves with the dharma or the activity or the duty concerning the Atma and not the Sharira. Of course, circumstantially, we are in this material world right now and we have to cater to the needs of this body. As long as it is available to us, we have to preserve the body so that the body can be used in Krishna's service. That is the goal. Body must be used to, first of all, inquire about our real nature. And once that inquiry is satisfied with knowledge from the bona fide spiritual master, one has to then engage that body in Krishna conscious activities in the service of the Supreme Lord, because we are minute and the Supreme Lord is um, infinite. We are infinitesimal. So, by nature, we are subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and therefore we have to serve Him. So, all inquiry rests when this knowledge is gained. So, therefore, the Vedic literature is divided into Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. Three categories. The first is Sambandha, to understand our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And in order to understand that, we have to understand that we are not related to our body. We have to understand the distinction. What are we related to? Who are we related to? If we don't understand that, then we can't progress further. Because Abhidheya, our activities, will depend on where I am attached to most. So our attachment drives our activity. So if I am attached to my family, then I'll work very hard day and night trying to provide for them, and in this way I will be concerned. I will concern myself with providing them shelter, providing them food, providing them. If these are provided for, then the next is luxury. Or they should have quality of life. So then luxury comes in, and in this way one becomes more and more entangled. One becomes more and more entangled in the complexities of material life. And one day, all that bubble is going to be burst. It's going to burst for sure. So we should question, what am I actually living for? So that is answered in this Srimad Bhagavatam. Kamasya nendriya priti labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa nartho yascheha karma bhi. Life's desires. Somebody is saying about the mic. Is it audible? Am I audible? So life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. Since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Okay. There's confirmation in the comments that mic is okay. Okay, that's good. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. What is that? Jivasya tattva jignasa. There is self-preservation, and then the rest of the time and energy has to be used for tattva jignasa, inquiries about the absolute truth. What is absolute truth? One that is not relative, a truth which is not relative. Now I may say my name is so and so, my date of birth is so and so, all these, my nationality is so and so. These are all truths, but relative, temporary truths. Absolute truth means it does not depend on anything. It is always true. It does not depend on any material condition. For example, we are Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishner Nitya Das. Mamaivamsu Jivaloke Jiva Bhutah Sanatana. So that absolute identity of the soul is not Mr. So and so, Miss so and so, or dog or cat or whatever. We are eternally servants of Krishna. That is our absolute relationship. And what is the absolute truth? One that will always stay true no matter what? Krishna. He's always there. Irrespective of what is the condition of the material world, whether vyakta vyaktat sanatanaha, parastasmat tu bhavanyo vyakto vyakta vyaktat sanatanaha, vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha. So, vyaktaha and avyaktaha, whether manifest or unmanifest, the material world, the spiritual world, which is non-different, the Krishna and his abode are non-different, and his name and his parts and parcels, we are all spiritual. We are spirit, we are not matter. So, We all are eternally existing, and our relationship cannot be broken. Our relationship to Krishna cannot be broken. And through Krishna, we are all related because Krishna says, Sarva Yonisha Kaunteya Aham Bija Pradah Pita. So he is the father of all species of life, of all living entities. He is the source. Although we say source, source means at some point, father means at some point he was existing, and son came into existence at some point. That is a temporal association we have because of our conditioning. But the Lord, our relationship with the Lord is not exactly like that. Although he is our father, but it is not that at a certain point we were created. We were not created at any point. We are eternal. The Lord is eternal. So all this is called absolute truth. So this whole subject, it's a very, very vast, intricate, nuanced, and multidimensional subject, which has so many elements to it. But in simplicity, if simplified, it's just this: that the Supreme Lord is the origin of everything. He expands himself into many energies, and not himself. He expands himself into multifarious energies emanate from him, and one of them is material energy, one of them is the spiritual energy, one of them is the marginal energy. These are the broad categories. Under these, there are many, many subcategories. Now, so material energy is the inferior energy, external energy, Bahiranga Shakti. The internal energy is the superior energy, the Antaranga Shakti, and we are Tatastha Shakti. We are marginal energy. Marginal does not mean we are half matter and half spirit or somewhere in between. Not exactly. We are spirit, but we are sometimes overpowered by matter. Just like Tata. Tata means what? Tatastha means what? Situated at the banks or the beach of a river or ocean. So that banks or the beach is sometimes covered by water when it's high tide, and sometimes it is revealed as land when it's low tide. So it is actually land, but sometimes it is counted as water. When the water is there, then the ocean is considered to be the limit of the ocean. But when the tide is gone down, then more of the land is revealed. But the land is always there, sometimes covered, sometimes uncovered. But beyond that, there is land which is never covered. And on this side, there is water which is always there. But this portion of the beach or the banks are sometimes covered, sometimes not. But they're always land. So similarly, we are like that. Tatastha. It's a crude example because ultimately, even the oceans below there is land, right? But that is forever covered. So this is an example to show that the the situation of the jiva or the soul, like us, who can sometimes be overpowered by Maya and sometimes be under Yoga Maya in our full revealed original position. So in our original position, we are Krishna Nitya Das. We are servants of Krishna. Now, Jigyasa, Tattva Jigyasa, inquiries. The human life is meant to understand these things. And understand means first of all, there has to be some perplexity. Hey, why am I dying? So there is something which is not gelling well with our tendencies and what is happening in life. So we should question, we should be inquisitive. Why nobody likes to die, but then everybody has to die? Why is there this anomaly? Why is it that everybody wants to stay young, but everybody inevitably grows old and dies? Why these things are there? Nobody likes to be diseased. They want to be healthy, happy, and energetic, but disease is there. Then after that, there is birth. After death, there is again birth. Why these things are there? Of course, in a modern society, that is not understood. So even the question should be, the jignasa should be, is there life after death? If that is not clear yet. So these are inquiries. If there is life, we should live very differently compared to if there is no life after death, right? If there is nothing after this, there is no, practically there is no reason why we should follow anything. There is no reason why we should be lawful or anything. So anyway, one day we're going to die. Whether I live like a criminal, whether I live like an honest man, how does it even matter? How does good matters? Being good or not, how does it matter if I'm going to be finished at the time of death? And that's all there is to it. Like, bubble, a bubble in the ocean. Sometimes the water comes onto the beach from the ocean, and then there are so many bubbles that form, and then after some time they're just gone. Who cries over bubbles? Bubbles bursting. So if we are just bubbles in eternal time, then what is even the point of good and bad? There are rules that, and there are rules punishing criminal activity, sinful activity, and there are rules prescribing pious activities. This is because there is something else, just like there is a higher journey. Because if we follow in a certain way, then it will enable us to have a better future. We all are preparing for future. The children are made to study so that they can have a future in which they can have a job and have some financial um, stability. So everyone is preparing for the future. If there is future after death, and there is, that's what we learn from the Bhagavad Gita, and with very logical explanation, Krishna explains. And even in Bhagavatam, there are so many parts of the Bhagavatam which touch upon this topic. So if there is future after death, then in fact the entire Bhagavatam starts like that. What is the duty of a man who's about to die? That was the question. See, 1937. अतः पृच्छामि संसिद्धिं योगिनां परमं गुरुं पुरुषस्येह यत्कार्यं म्रियमाणस्य सर्वथा. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami, his spiritual master, you are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. So if after that there is nothing, then what is the point of even speaking about perfection? No, there is. So this is what we need to understand. So our human life is meant for this tattva jijnasa. So this requires a lot of energy and time, and we don't have much of it, especially so in Kali Yuga. We don't have much time, and we don't have as much energy. We have a very short life. Say 100 years. 100 years is now a magic number. Who is living until 100? So let's say 100 years just for the calculation. If we sleep 8 hours a day, 1/3 of that life is gone. 33 years in sleeping. And then there's rest, which is 66 years. Prahlad Maharaj gives a whole breakdown about it in the 7th canto. So we are eating, we're working, and today the evil distraction that is provided by social media and the smartphones, they're not smart. I mean, they are smart. We are not smart. So our attention is being hijacked. And those quiet moments where there is some boredom, when we are bored, then at least there is a space for the mind to expand its thinking a little bit. Some deep thinking can happen when we are bored. When we are not bored, when we're always supplied a constant supply of sense gratification at the fingertips, our brain it stops functioning. We don't think about anything. For example, I went to New Zealand in 2012 and 2014 as well. So we went to this devotee's place. They were having a farm. We went to this place. It was far away from the city. It was near. It was by the riverside, and it was in a valley. Beautiful place. And in the night time, the sun set very late, almost 10 o'clock. But after it set, we were looking at the sky. We were sleeping outside, and it was cold. We were sleeping in a dilapidated bus, and it was a converted bedroom kind of sort of thing, but all open. So we were looking at the sky, and I was just so amazed. How many stars? There was not even a millimeter, nanometer, micrometer, whatever. There's no gap. So many stars. So when we see something like that and just gaze into the sky, night sky, it makes us think. We become reflective. Oh, what is this? What is the scale of existence? We are so small in this. What is the whole purpose of this grand arrangement? Was there any purpose? We become philosophical when we look at the night sky. So all these quiet moments, not only if we look at the night sky, I mean, if we have at least a little time to ourselves, we become a little philosophical. But today we are offered all sorts of time wasting devices, and every little second is gone in that way. But we should know that with every passing second, we are approaching death. And there is this verse. Mm, 11:20:16. You see, अहोरात्रैश्छिद्यमानं बुद्ध्वायुर्भयवे पथुः मुक्तसङ्गः परं बुद्ध्वा निरीह उपशाम्यति. Knowing that one's duration of life is being similarly cut down by the passing of days and nights, one should be shaken by fear. In this way, giving up all material attachment and desire, one understands the Supreme Lord and achieves perfect peace. What is this shaken by fear? We take it too lightly. When somebody dies, we feel bad for them. We are in the same queue. And shaken by fear, we should consider it very seriously that, oh, death is going to come and we have to prepare. Loka kshayakrit, kalosmi kshayakrit. Kshayakrit means the cause of destruction. That's what happens with time. That's the nature of time. And because Parikshit was leaving his body, Shukadeva Goswami emphasized very much on the destructive aspect of the material world, the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation. Towards the end of if you see the 11th and 12th cantos, he spoke so much about destruction of the universe. Because if we are attracted to any part of this universe, any facet, any aspect of this universe, it's going to be destroyed. We have to know that this universe is going to be destroyed. Before that, I'm going to be destroyed. I mean, not I means my body. And it's not worth pursuing. It's not worth pursuing anything in this material world. We should be attracted by the eternal kingdom. Who doesn't want eternal life? Everybody would want. But we are trapped in the cycle of birth and death. And therefore, we have to inquire, is there a place or is there a way that I can live eternally? The good news is yes. And that good news is the message of and how to get there, that whole journey. That is the message of the Vedas. That is the message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. To solve all our problems for good, completely. No more problems again. So if you see Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, these are the evils of this world, the um, the cardinal miseries of this world. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. But if you see, there is one thing that moves all these things in sequence. What is that? Time. Time moves all these things: birth, death, old age, and disease. In course of time, we will be born, we will go through old age, get disease, and eventually die, and again born. So in this way, time is moving us, and nobody can check that force. The other day, the previous session of Bhagavad Gita, we were discussing the 11th chapter, 19th through 31st verses, through the 31st verse, and in between there was this thing where it is mentioned that everybody is being scorched by the heat. And if you see, our bodies become wrinkled over time, like it was burnt. When like, I don't know if you have eaten this bangan barta, where the brinjal is put on the fire, and what happens? It crumples and then it tears. So kind of that's what happens to our body, and eventually it's finished, right? So we are cooked slowly by time, and this body gives way. So we should concern ourselves with our eternal activity, and that is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means I am Sanatan, the Lord is Sanatan, the abode of the Lord is Sanatan, my relationship with the Lord is Sanatan. So that activity which revives my eternal life by being in contact with the Supreme Eternal Person through the eternal transaction of devotional service is Sanatana Dharma, is the eternal religion. So it cannot be, it's not sectarian. All these isms, like, or what is that? Isms, or, what is that? These labels like Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, or Judaism, Buddhism. These are labels according to certain time and circumstance, and some messenger, or an acharya who has come accordingly, or an incarnation of God. So accordingly they may assume some names, temporary names, but they are actually different aspects of Sanatana Dharma. Now if you see in any religion, it is accepted that God is infinite, He's always great, we are always subordinate to Him. Any real religion, any bona fide religion, religious system will accept these things. Only idiots will say that I am God. We are not talking about them. Any bona fide religious system, first of all, accepts the supremacy of God and accepts that we are subordinate to Him and we have to submit to Him. These are, chanting His name, offering Him prayers. These things, these are common to any religion, any bona fide religion. So that is actually Sanatana Dharma, that thing which cannot be changed, even with the nomenclature. Even the person who professes some nonsense religion saying that I am God, and people start worshipping him, there is that sense of, okay, I am subordinate to someone. That sense is there but is misplaced. So that sense cannot be taken away, that we are subordinate to someone. So actually we are subordinate to God. Now we are becoming subordinate to our boss, our family, our this and that. If nothing, then we keep a dog and become subordinate to the dog. The dog passes stool and we have to pick up the stool of the dog. At least in Singapore, if you have a pet dog, if the dog passes stool on while you're taking the dog for a walk, and the owner must pick up the stool of the dog. So you can't just leave it there. So, I mean, picking up somebody's stool, who is servant here? He thinks he's the master of the dog, but he's a servant of the dog. So if we don't serve God, we will end up serving dog. So Chanakya Pandit says we should not waste our time in such service. Ayusha kshana ekopi nalabhyate swarnakotibhi. 1 second lost will never be gotten back. Yeah, you see, आयुषः क्षण एकोपि न लभ्यः स्वर्णकोटिभिः न चेन्निरर्थकं नीतिः का च हानिस्ततोऽधिका. Even a moment of one's lifetime could not be returned in exchange for millions of dollars. Swarna means gold, even gold coins. Therefore, one should consider how much loss one suffers if he wastes even a moment of his life for nothing. Living like an animal, not understanding the goal of life, one foolishly thinks that there is no eternity and that his lifespan of 50, 60, or at most 100 years is everything. This is the greatest foolishness. Time is eternal, and in the material world, one passes through different phases of his eternal life. Time is compared herein to a sharp razor. A razor is meant to shave the hair from one's face, but if not carefully handled, the razor will cause disaster. One is advised not to create a disaster by misusing his lifetime. One should be extremely careful to utilize the span of his life for spiritual realization or Krishna consciousness. Kalachakram bhramitikshnam sarvam nishkarshayat jagat swatantram abudhasyeha kimasat karma bhir bhavet. This kimasat karma bhir bhavet, I think from 6.5.11 to 6.5.20 or something, 10 verses, 9 verses or something. This last line will be the same. Kimasat karma bhir bhavet. Narad Muni had spoken of a physical object made of sharp blades and thunderbolts. The Haryashvas understood this allegory as follows. Eternal time moves very sharply, as if made of razors and thunderbolts. Uninterrupted and fully independent, it drives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? See, this is very important. Physics tries to study time. They even talk about relativity, where time dilation, they talk about time dilation, where time is differently experienced according to the speed at which we are moving. Now, in all of that, one thing is certain: they are wasting their time. They are spending their time studying time, but that's waste of time. Here in Bhagavatam, okay, let's see. There is one whole chapter. Actually, a lot of places time is studied, but you see, okay, you see this Srimad Bhagavatam 3.11, calculation of time from the atom. See that? There's a whole calculation, and what is all the mathematical the divisions of time is mentioned. In fact, I did a whole video on Kala Chakra on IGTV on my Instagram account. If you go to IGTV, it was an old, during lockdown I did this. I was doing this Shastra Chakshu Tattvadarshan show, I think, at that time. So every day I used to go live on a particular topic on Instagram, IGTV, Instagram TV. So anyway, I did a whole episode on time, Kala Chakra, and Kala Chakra. We have the clock which is round, and there is a cyclical element of time, which there is repetition of things, a pattern, and it can be a small repetition, a big repetition, and a very, very big repetition. For example, every minute the seconds hand goes one round around the clock, and every hour the minutes hand goes one round around the clock. Every 12 hours the hours hand goes one round around the clock. So you see the chakra becomes bigger and bigger time interval for one circle, and similarly, every week there is a cyclical effect where Sunday to Saturday and again Sunday, and every month there is again a cyclical effect where 1st to 30th or 31st and again 1st. So and again year also there is a cyclical, January to December and again January. So that is like a cyclical. So a decade, a century. Um, then there are yugas, manvantaras, and what is that one? Kalpa, a day of Brahma. So that you see the time span is increasing there, bigger and bigger and bigger circles. Now, Kala Chakra, it's very interesting because although there is a cyclical effect of time, there is also a linear effect of time, which is straight line. Now, a wheel which is passing on the road goes forward. So it goes like a car, goes linear. Although the wheels are moving cyclical, the vehicle is moving straight, linear. So time also has that aspect. It is unidirectional. We cannot go back to the past and undo what we did. So it is forward moving, and it relentlessly, destroys and pushes everything in its path. Nobody has that. Nobody has the power to go against that movement. So this is Kala Chakra. And mind you, the word chakra is used, a wheel. Some people say, oh, wheel was invented, some this day, that day. No, no, no. This has been eternally there, and it is an eternal element, time. So in this material world, there is this bhutva bhutva praliyate. There is repeated creation and destruction. So in this way, time is studied. Now the point I was trying to make is these scientists, they study time just like a time pass. They pass their time and then they fail at life. They pass their time and fail at life. So, but we want to pass at life. What is that pass? At the time of death, we have to think of Krishna. So this calculation or this study of time, the element of time, just now we have, what is this? You see, if one does not try to study the element of time, eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? This is the reason we should study time. There is study of time in our Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita here. But Kshayakrit, if we really study time, we will know that time is the great destroyer. Kalosmi loka Kshayakrit. Why are we wasting? Why are we running after things which are going to be destroyed by time? That, you see, this is a philosophical understanding of time. The mechanical and the workings of time and the philosophy of time, and how we should approach time, how we should use time, what is the best use of time. That's why it is said, Ayur harati vaipumsan udyanasthanchayanna. So, tasyarteya kshanonita uttama shloka vartaya. So, this is called theistic science. Everything is related to the Lord. When we study time, yes, we study time, but then we should understand that we should actually use that time in what is the best possible use of time. If it is passing every second and we cannot get it back, so what is the best way I can use that asset, an ever depreciating asset? How can I make it appreciate? How can I increase the effect? So that is here. Ayur harati vaipumsan udyannastam chayannasau tasyarteyat kshanonita uttama shloka vartaya. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all good personality of Godhead. So this is how we have to use the time that we are given. How? By discussing topics of Krishna. Like what we are doing. Now we may say, oh, we're not discussing Krishna, we're discussing time. Yes, in relation with Krishna. When we cut off that relation with Krishna, then it is complete Maya. But in relation with Krishna, everything can remind us of Krishna. Everything. So in this way, when we see the sun, we don't need to see the sun. The sun is pushing us anyway, all our activities. So we have to observe this, the passing of time, and then the reminder every day that we have to engage our time in Krishna service. And recently we have read the article by the lecture by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on Radhashtami, right? In 1931, he gave a lecture, and he made a very important point there that for the devotee, for the non-devotee, sun decreases his duration of life. For the devotee, the sun, by its movement, by its trajectory, it brings forth such days as Ekadashi. Today is Ekadashi. So Ekadashi. So we do more service, we chant more, we do more seva, and we read more. Krishna's books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, whichever, Prabhupada's books. We read more, we do more seva. So in this way, we can do seva, we can increase our Krishna consciousness. And in the course of time, there are festivals like Radhashtami, Janmashtami. So the sun reveals to us these personalities. And so we can actually honor them and, how to say, meditate on such personalities and their qualities and their activities. In this way, we become more and more Krishna conscious. We think of Srimati Radharani, we think of Krishna, we think of recently Vamanadev, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. So in this way, we are always reminded of Krishna, his energies, and his pure devotees. We are constantly reminded. So, especially the Brahma Gayatri mantra, the Prachodayat, the last word is Prachodayat, means enthuse. We are requesting the sun to enthuse us in devotional service. And that enthuse, for the materialist, the sun is a cause of depression because he is going to die. And he's going to lose everything that he has accumulated. Everything. But for the devotee, the sun enthuses him by bringing forth, what is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung? Madhavati the bhakti janani. What is that next line? Madhavati the bhakti janani. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu, that song. So he says, Madhava Tithi Bhakti Janani. So Madhava Tithi means all the dates and days that are connected to Madhava or Krishna, which are Ekadashi, Janmashtami, and all these festivals, Vaishnava festivals. So all these festivals, Madhava Tithi, Bhakti Janani, the mother of devotion. By observing these days, we become more. In that way, every day becomes a Madhava Tithi. Every day we have to be Krishna conscious. And of course, when there are special days, even more seva, amplified. So in this way, Prachodayat enthuses us in devotional service. Not only these special days, but every day, for example, because of the sun and its trajectory, we have Ashtaprahara, the 8 divisions of the day. Chaitanya Palana Kori. Krishna Basati Basati Boli, Parame Adare Bori. So, Madhav Titi Bhakti Janani, Jetane Palana Kore. So, if we follow that, so this is the desire of the devotee, that he wants to observe these things. But even every day, Ashtaprahara is there, the 8 divisions of time of the day. 24 hours, each prahara is 3 hours. So Ashtaprahara means 8 praharas in a day. And each prahara, there are different activities of Krishna's service. Like we wake up for Mangalarti. The sun has not risen yet, but the sun is moving us because the sun is going to rise and it's somewhere else now. And because of that, we do a certain um, activity, rituals in that time, Brahma Muhurta time. The Mangalarati, the Japa, the deity worship, all that happens at the time. And then likewise, when the sun rises, and then we are engaged in other services of the Lord. And evening, morning and evening, there is artis, there are classes, there are sevas, so many. And even if it is not our festival, if there is, sometimes nowadays everything is a festival. There is an International Yoga Day, there is a Mother's Day, there is a Father's Day, there is a Enlightenment Day, World Enlightenment Day, Earth Day. They have and nowadays, forget about all the causes. These shopping apps are having, you know now today is what, September 9 September special sale, 10 11 11 12 12. So 12th December, 1st January, 2nd February, 3rd March, 4th April, 5th May. All these days are special for no reason, just so they are having all kinds of days which are not our days. But although these are useless, but we can make use of that. If people are going to have some yoga day, okay, we will go and sell our books. Here, Bhakti Yoga, highest yoga, Yoginam api sarvesham, madgyatena antaratma, take Bhagavad Gita, highest yoga. We can push. Enlightenment Day, here is enlightenment. Where is light in your life? Dark, here. Ajnanatimiraandhasya jnananjana shalakya, Bhagavad Gita, take. Bhagavatam, Purana arko dhunoditaha, sun-like knowledge, scripture, take Bhagavatam. The 5-5, May 5th, okay, Pandavas are there, Bhagavad Gita is there. Jayastu Panduputranam Yesham Pakshe Janardana. The victory was on the Pandavas side because Krishna was on their side. So take Bhagavad Gita. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matirmama. Every number we have something. 1 is Krishna, 2 is Krishna Balram or Gaurnitai. 3 we have we have so many. The other day I was, of course, there is Brahma, there's a Trimurti, there is a 3 modes. If you rise above the 3 modes, you can say anything. 4, the Chatur Kumaras are there, the 4 Sampradayas are there, 5, there are Pandavas. So in this way, you can always find something, and then you can use all these days to distribute books. Let them celebrate whatever, we will contribute for the celebration. Because all these numbers, all these days, everything belong to Krishna. Everything we can, because Krishna is the origin of everything. Everything can be traced back to Krishna, and we will use that relationship and promote Krishna consciousness. In Singapore, they have a religious harmony day. Yeah, we will harmonize all religions. Shamyat Shastra Vivad, what is that? Shamyat Shastra Vivadaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy harmonizes all scriptures and provides the ultimate definition of religion that will be applicable for everyone. Let's push. So everything can be dovetailed into Krishna. So this is called Prachodayat. The sun enthuses the devotee in performing all kinds of services for Krishna. And of course, even demigod worship. Recently there was Ganesh Chaturthi. We went outside Ganesh temple, our devotees sold books. Ganesh wrote Bhagavad Gita. Because it was true. Vyasadeva was dictating, Ganesh was writing. Bhagavad Gita is from Mahabharata. Mahabharata was written by Ganesh, dictation. So Ganesh wrote Bhagavad Gita, take Bhagavad Gita. Worshipping, if you want Ganesh blessings, take Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, we can push anything. So even on these demigod honoring days, we can tell them, Shiva, greatest Vaishnava. We go outside the Shivan temple, and when we sell our books there. So in this way, if you want to become dear to Lord Shiva, then become a devotee of Krishna. So in this way, we can use everything in Krishna's service, and every day becomes auspicious like that. So, the effect of time, the effect of the sun on the devotee is very different. Very different. He's always blissful. But we should always also know the destructive element of time and the enthusing element of time. We should know the destructive element of time and not be in this utopia thinking that, oh, because I'm devotee, I will be protected, I will never die. We should know what we have to be attached with. Attached with service. Body, we have to know that we have to give it up. So we have to have that simultaneous understanding of the destructive and enthusing aspects of time. And for the materialist and everything concerning matter, kshayakrit. But for the devotees, prachodayat. For the devotees is enthusis. Even the destructive element of time is a factor of enthusement. And enthusement, is that a word? Enthusiasm for the devotee. Because, for example, the graying of the hair, or the wrinkles on the face, all these things are indications that death is coming. That will be an impetus for the devotee to, hey, these are all warning signs. There are unlimited warnings before death. The symptoms of death show up in multifarious ways. Our own hair starts to become white. Some of the hairs start to becoming white. You're approaching death. Well, some near and dear passes away. You're in the line. Then we get some disease. Our body is not as strong. All these are indications. Hey, you are closing in on death. You're nearing death. So, so, as we grow older and older, more and more people in our life go away. They die. Or things end in frustration. So, these are all indications that give up this hope of clinging on to this body. And like Dhritarashtra, he was like that. This Vidura told him, what are you doing in this? Such a shameless fellow. You have conspired against the Pandavas all your life, and now all your sons are dead at the hands of the Pandavas. You hated Bhima like anything. You wanted to kill him at one point because you wanted to embrace him and kill him. He was so very strong. Dhritarashtra physically was very strong. But a metal form of Bhima was put in front of him and he crushed it. So imagine what would have happened if Bhima was there. So he was very strong, but he was blind. But so you have tried to kill Bhima, and now after they've all died, you're still living in this palace under the care of the Pandavas. Like, absolutely no shame. You see, this is what he said. Aho mahiyasi jantor जीविताशा यथा भवान भीमा pavarjitam pindam adatte grihapalavat. You see what he's saying? Alas, how powerful are the hopes of a living being to continue his life. Verily, you are living just like a household dog, grihapala, and are eating remnants of food given by Bhima. Bhima is giving you pindam, and you are eating that. Look at what kind of heavy language. You see, so by this, what happened after this? Dhritarashtra left the palace and went to the forest. Although this is very sharp words, it enthused Dhritarashtra to finally leave. Finally leave family life. That detachment, cutting the knots of illusion. This is what the sharp words does. Sharp words do. A sadhu should never flatter kings or rich men to live comfortably at their cost. A sadhu is to speak to the householders about the naked truth of life so that they may come to their senses about the precarious life and material existence. Dhritarashtra is a typical example of an attached old man in household life. He had become a pauper in the true sense, yet he wanted to live comfortably in the house of the Pandavas, of whom Bhima especially is mentioned because personally he killed two prominent sons of Dhritarashtra, namely Duryodhan and Dushasan. So, this is the position. So, of course, there are many aspects of time that we can go about. The the destructive nature of time. There are many things. The Manvantra and what happens at Pralaya, the four types of Pralaya, four types of destruction of the that happens in the universe, and all of that. But this is the thing. Anyway, we'll go a little bit into that. Um, what is the 12:4:7? Is it? I don't know if this is the one. Okay, so this is one of the aspects of what happens during annihilation. But another thing is the Lord Shiva is the in charge of Tamogun, the mode of ignorance. And one of the activities of Tamogun is destruction. So that's why he's also called Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairava. Kala Bhairav, in that form, he's of course taking on this destructive, um, how to say, domain of activity, which involves many things. Of course, the pralaya of the universe, but also all kinds of destruction. Prabhupada even went to the extent of saying, let me see if I can. Okay. We recall that during the Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market. Similarly, those in the modes of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. Okay, this is another one. There is another instance where Prabhupada even mentioned that Hitler, who caused a lot of destruction, is a small empowered entity empowered by Lord Shiva. Empowered by Lord Shiva in this sense that for destruction. This Rudra principle, this is called the Rudra principle. And animals, also, some animals have this Rudra principle. The lion, the tiger, the snake, the scorpion, these have Rudra principle. They're dangerous. They're very destructive. So, look at the ferocity of these animals. The lion, the tiger, even the cheetah and leopard, these are Rudra principle. Anger, with the absolute ferocity and the destructive force, and natural disasters, of course. But so the Rudra principle is there in anger in anybody causes this Rudra principle as well. And if one is uncontrollably angry, the Rudra principle becomes even more manifest, the destructive force. So in this way, the destruction happens in many ways. And another thing that happens over time, the destruction, is this. The four types of pralaya. 12:7:17 and 12:4:3. Okay. Okay, let's go there. 12:7:17 and 12:4, I think. And let's see. Yeah, these are naimittikah prakritiko nitya atyantiko layah samstheti kavibhih proktash chaturdhasya svabhavatah layah pralayah. Pralaya or laya, basically same thing. Samstha, the dissolution. There are four types of cosmic annihilation: occasional, elemental, continuous, and ultimate, all of which are affected by the inherent potency of the Supreme Lord. Learned scholars have designated this topic dissolution. So these are the 10 aspects, 10 subjects of Bhagavatam, there it is mentioned. And 12:4. 3A. This is called Naimittika. So the Naimittika and all these different 4 types of pralaya, what are they? Each of them are defined. So we can go to the previous verse here. Tadante pralayastāvān brahmi ratrir udahrita trayo loka ime tatra kalpante pralayayahi. After 1 day of Brahma, the annihilation occurs during his night, which is of the same duration as the day. At that time, all the 3 planetary systems are subject to destruction until Svargaloka. Beyond that, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka are intact. एष नैमित्तिकः प्रोक्तः प्रलयो यत्र विश्वसृक् शेतेनन्तासनो विश्वम् आत्मसात् कृत्य चात्मभूः. This is called the Naimittika or occasional annihilation, during which the original creator, Lord Narayana, lies down upon the bed of Anantasesha and absorbs the entire universe within himself while Lord Brahma sleeps. So you see, they merge into the Narayana, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then, Dviparardhe tvatikrante brahmanah parameshtinah tada prakritayah saptak kalpante pralayayavai. When the 2 halves of the lifetime of Lord Brahma, the most elevated created being, are complete, the 7 basic elements of creation are annihilated. And we will just go to the translation here. Upon the annihilation of the material elements, the universal egg comprising the elemental amalgamation of creation is confronted with destruction. You see, this purport is important here. It is significant that Shukadeva Goswami, the spiritual master of King Parikshit, is broadly discussing cosmic annihilation just before the death of his disciple. By attentively hearing the story of universal destruction, one can easily understand one's personal departure from this temporary world to be an insignificant incident within the gigantic scope of the total material manifestation. By his deep and relevant discussions of the creation of God, Shukadeva Goswami, as an ideal spiritual master, is preparing his disciple for the moment of death. Now, sometimes we may feel, most of the time, in fact, we may feel that, oh, I am dying, everybody is going to continue living, I'm going to go, I cannot enjoy life anymore, they are all going to enjoy. There may be this kind of feelings. I am no more here. All the new things that are to come in this world, and whatever is supposed to happen with the family or whatever, which I've enjoyed over time and in the course of my life, I will not have that opportunity anymore. All these family members will not be with me anymore. So these kind of things, these regrets or hankerings, and we become dejected because we cannot enjoy these things anymore. Which is why Shukadeva Goswami is talking about annihilation of the entire universe. So he's basically asking, impressing upon Parikshit Maharaj that don't be saddened that that you have this great kingdom and yet you are going away. You could have comfortably ruled, and just 7 days prior you were all good, set for 100 more years. But now, with a curse, your lifespan is just now brought down to 7 more days, and now it's almost at the end. So don't be dejected, because ultimately, whatever there is here, everything is going to go down. Everything is going to be destroyed. There's no point having any attachment to this world. We have to give it up either way. Either we will give up the world, or the world will give up on us. We're not going to go together anywhere. So just We have to understand that reality and be very contented and just happily think about Krishna, chant his name, and die and pass on. That's the thing we have to do, and that's what we have to prepare for, to have such an absolute stable mind at the time of death. How much practice is needed, you know? एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्याम् अन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति. That is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. What is this? What is that state? The previous verse. Vihaya kaman yah sarvan pumams charati nihsprihah nirmamo nirahankarah sashantim adhigacchati. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. So we have to give up desires for sense gratification, give up our desires, a sense of proprietorship, and our false ego, our false identification with this world. We have to give these up. Then alone he can attain real peace. And if that state of mind can be had at the time of death, that is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. And this is also explained in this verse. नोत्तमश्लोक वार्तानां जुषतां तत्कथामृतं स्यात् सम्भ्रमोऽन्तकालेऽपि स्मरतां तत्पदाम्बुजम्. Again, antakalepi. There it is mentioned sthitva syam antakalepi. Here, syat sambhramo antakalepi. This was so because those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. Do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. Otherwise, our whole life and the last moment of our life is filled with misconceptions, and we will end up in another conception. We will be conceived, we will again be born. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. So punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. So this cycle is going on. Birth again, death again, sleeping in the womb of the mother again. And in this way the samsara chakra is going on. Duhsahogra samsara chakra. Intolerable, horrible cycle of birth and death. Duhsahogra samsara chakra. Prahlad Maharaj says. So, going back to the so Parjanya Shatavarshani. So whatever happens at the time of cosmic annihilation is mentioned. There will be huge rain and huge scorching of the heat, and no, first the scorching and then the rain. I mean, all these descriptions are there. What is this? 12:4:34 Atyantika Pralaya. 12:4:34. My dear Parikshit, when the illusory false ego that binds the soul has been cut off with the sword of discriminating knowledge, and one has developed realization of Lord Achyuta, the Supreme Soul, This is called the Atyantika or ultimate annihilation of material existence. So, this repeated destruction of the cosmos does not guarantee, in fact, it is completely unrelated to our annihilation of our material life, the annihilation of our material life. The annihilation of the universe is not the annihilation of our material life. So, we annihilate our material life only when we are completely free from all false ego. This is very nice verse. So this is the Atyantika Pralaya. And although this is termed as a Pralaya, it's the Pralaya of our material existence, but it is the beginning of one's eternal life. So when we become devotee, when we come into Krishna consciousness, this Pralaya starts. And we want this Pralaya, right? Do we not want this Pralaya? Don't we want the end of our material existence? So that's needed. Otherwise, how are we going to go to the spiritual world? So that can happen when we take to cut off with the sword of discriminating knowledge, and one has developed realization of Lord Achyuta. So this has to happen. So discriminating knowledge. So we have to be very, very philosophical. Yeah, we have to observe this world through the statements of the Shastras and always remind ourselves of the eternity of spiritual life and of the temporariness of the material life and of our relationship with Krishna and our illusory relationship with Maya. We should always be discriminating these things and not at any time confuse one thing for another. If we, after all the philosophical understanding, if we apply our attachment to the temporary thing, whether it be family, whether it be money, whether it be relatives or house or all these things, then that's going to be disturbing our consciousness at the time of death. Because who goes to the kingdom of God? Just now we have read in the second chapter 71 and 72. Nirmamo nirahankaraha. Yeah? Samadukha sukha kshami. Okay, no, that's different. Vihaya kaman yaha sarvan pumam charate nispriha, desireless. Nirmamo nirahankaraha sa shantim adhigachati. That state we have to be at the time of death as well. The next verse. Okay? Person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from all desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, whether in the matter of material life, I'm not the owner of my house or my family, all these things, but also even in the spiritual aspect, sometimes I feel like I own something, but I don't. It's all Krishna's. I was given an opportunity to serve for a certain time, but it's not mine. Nothing is mine in the devotional service. Ultimately, it's all Krishna's, right? If that understanding is not clear, what are we reading the Shastra for? What are we reading the Shastra for? So, that's why we have to always know what we have to give attention. We have to give attention to both the spirit and matter as well. And it's important that we give attention to both. But all that attention should drive us to spiritual advancement. What do I mean by that? So we have to notice the destructive nature of time, which is what Krishna said in today's verse, right? Kalosmi loka kshayakrit. And why did Sukadeva Goswami speak so much about pralaya? Because he was preparing his disciple to face death, which was going to be his pralaya of the body, but he wanted to give him atyantika pralaya, which is just now what we have read, 12.4.34. When the illusory and false ego that binds the soul has been cut off with a sword of discriminating knowledge and one has developed realization of Lord Achyuta, this is called atyantika, ultimate annihilation of material existence. This atyantika pralaya is what Sukadeva Goswami was giving Parikshit Maharaj. Your body is never mind going away, But you also go and now don't take another birth. End it here. Let it be this last. So, um, so this is one thing. Another aspect of time which it does is Sakaleneham mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. So, same thing, you know. So, you see, the previous verse, Krishna speaks about and how the spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge, passes down from Krishna to his disciple, to his disciple, to his disciple, to his disciple through this sampradaya or parampara system. So, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. Kala. You see this kalena iha. Kalena plus iha becomes kaleneha. Kalena means by the force of time, by the influence of time. See, kalena in the course of time. Mahata, and it's a very powerful force. This time is a powerful force. So, what happens with this passing of time? This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Now, how can time destroy the eternal knowledge? Well, the answer is time does not destroy eternal knowledge. Time destroys the continuation of that knowledge in the in the parampara system. But the Lord therefore repeatedly comes and rectifies the situation. Dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata yada yada hi abhyuttanam what is it? Tadatmanam srajamyaham abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. So whenever there is dharmasya glani, a decline in religious principle, he comes. Why is there decline? Because of kaleneha mahata, by the influence of time. Kshayakrit. So the time destroys. So time destroys even the pure transmission of this eternal knowledge. Eternal knowledge is always is eternal, but the name itself is eternal. Vedo Narayana Sakshat. But the transmission is distorted by the course of time, in the course of time. So it can be reversed if we stick to the instructions of the spiritual master, then time will not have that effect of destruction. Now, Prabhupada has left us with instructions how to conduct this mission forward. Now, there have been deviations. Instruction was disobeyed. And the course of time is acting now. Movement is becoming diluted and degenerated. So, if we stick to the order of the spiritual master, then the spiritual connect is there. And the effect of time, the material effect of time, the destructive effect of time will not act if we stick to the order of the spiritual master. The movement will be, intact. And in fact, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, it will increase. Vardhanam. That is the spiritual potency. Whereas Kalos me lokakshayakrat, in this material world, everything is decreased and destroyed by the effect of time. In the spiritual, by the influence of spiritual energy, spiritual time, everything increases. That's why it is said, Neha Bhikrama Nashosti Na Iha Abhikrama Nashaha Asti. There is no Nasha in this. Pratyavayo na vidyate svalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So you see, there is a different effect of spiritual time. Spiritual time means time spent in spiritual activity has permanent assets, and it only increases over time. There may be a temporary um, pause in an advancement of an advancing transcendentalist because of offenses or whatever there may be, but whatever he has done will not go in vain. It may be paused for a short time or a long time, depending on the severity of his offense, but it is never lost. The effect of spiritual time um, is different. That's why it is said, Ayur Harati Vaipumsam Udyanastan So, Tasyarteya Kshanonita Uttama Shloka Vartaya. The sun or time decreases the duration of lifetime of everyone except those who engage in Krishna Katha. Their lifetime is increased because after this death, they are no more going to take another birth and death. They're going to eternal life. Unlimitedly increase their lifetime. So, this is the difference between time spent in material activity and time spent in spiritual activity. However much we may engage our time in the material activity, everything will be destroyed at the time of death. Mrityu sarvaharas chaham. What goes with us is our karma, which will ensure the repeated destruction of our lifetimes, millions of them going forward. So, there is nothing good that comes out of spending time in materialistic activity. Nothing good that comes out of it. But if we spend that time in spiritual activity, in Krishna consciousness, even little bit, that is a permanent asset. So, if we, why little bit then? Invest all our life in Krishna conscious activity, then there will be permanent increase. Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam. So that is the effect of spiritual life. Whatever we do, it stays and it increases and increases and increases. So we should, in this way, study time and use our time, valuable time. Why it is valuable? Because it's going to be finished. Eternal time does not finish, but our allotted time in this human life finishes. And after this, if I am allotted a time in the cockroach body or a dog or a pig's body, I cannot use that time effectively. That time is a waste of time. I just have to eat stool and live like that. I cannot do anything about that time. But in the human form of life, I can use time in the proper way. And therefore, before this body dies, one has to become perfect in self-realization in Krishna consciousness. 11.9.29 लब्ध्वा सुदुर्लभमिदं बहु संभवन्ते मानुष्यमर्थदमनित्यमपीह धीरः तूर्णं यतेतनपतेदनुमृत्युयावन् निःश्रेयसाय विषयः खलु सर्वतः स्यात्. After many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life. That's the other thing. After many births and deaths, we have achieved the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. It's temporary like the animal life, but it affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection, because in this life we can chant Hare Krishna, we can understand these deeper subjects of God realization, self-realization. Thus, a sober human being, we should not be a mad human being like an animal. Sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. It is going to die, but as long as it has not done so, use that time to quickly endeavor. Because why quickly? What is the urgency? I do not know when this body will fall. It can fall now, 10 minutes later, 10 hours later, 10 days later, 10 years later. It will fall. Oh, 10 years are there now, 20 years are there now, 30 years are there now. Even if we have 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us, you think 50 years is enough for us to completely perfect our life? You know how much endeavor, how much effort, how much carefulness it takes? Ultimately, the mercy of the Guru. Honestly, 50 years is not enough. Prabhupada said, yes, 1 second is enough, 1 minute. That requires 100% surrender. Are we there? Let's be very honest and real with ourselves. We are having this utopian idea that, oh, I'm going to go back to Godhead because I'm become Prabhupada disciple. बहुजन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबु धना पाए कृष्ण पदे प्रेम धन तबु तना पाए. So we cannot get Krishna prema, and if we don't get Krishna prema, we are not going back to Godhead. Pritir nayavan mai vasudeve namuchate deha yogena tavat. Rishabdev says, as long as we have not developed Preeti for Vasudeva, Preeti means prema, there's no chance. There's no chance we're going back to Vaikuntha at all. So, by following the 4 regulative principles, by chanting 16 rounds, and Prabhupada many times mentioned this, try to avoid the offenses. So, we have to improve our quality of our devotional service, our chanting, our hearing, our seva, everything. And constantly we have to be reminded, because Shayakrit, remember this thing. Why should we read every day? Why should we chant every day? Why should we wake up for Mangalarti every day? Because Kalosmik Shayakrit. Time will destroy. Time will destroy. Of course, we have seen that whatever little bit we have done in Krishna consciousness will not be destroyed. But time will destroy our enthusiasm to continue. Yeah, you have come Mangalarti once in your lifetime. Yeah, it is some advancement, 0.000000000 billion zeros 1% advancement, yeah. But next life we may start from the next, maybe 2 days in this lifetime, 2 Mangalartis in this lifetime. So yeah, I can prolong my advancement. Whatever advancement I have done will not go away. But how long later I want to pick up from where I left off? Is it the next day? Or is it the next life? Or is it after a few lifetimes? Or a few 100 lifetimes? Or a few 1,000 or a million lifetimes? That's the choice we have. That's why what we should have is a constant fire, a constant hunger, a constant thirst for Krishna consciousness. That laulyam, that greed, that ever increasing greed for Krishna consciousness, we will get when we keep to this regular process of Shravan, Kirtan, hearing and chanting. In the beginning, we may not even have taste for doing that. But if we start doing it, okay, Krishna said Krishna is my friend. He will never cheat me. He said I should do this. Okay, let me do this with, I don't need to think about so many things. What did Prabhupada say? When you're chanting, just hear what you're saying. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I should just hear what I'm saying. Hear the name of Krishna that is coming out of my mouth. Therefore, it has to come out of the mouth. Not the kind of silent nonsense chanting. The lips must move, the tongue must move, sound must come out. And I have to hear the sound. That's the whole point of that meditation. I have to hear, I have to focus my hearing there. So, okay, let me just do that. I may not have any taste, I may not have anything, I may not have the inspiration, but just let me do that. Taste will come, taste will start. And let me hear what Krishna has to say. Not that, oh, I have to read, I have no taste for reading. No. Let me sit down with Krishna. Okay, I have no taste, I am very depressed. Yes. Wouldn't it be nice if someone sat us down and spoke to us some kind words? Well, that's exactly what Krishna does when we start reading. Krishna is speaking to us directly. He is using Arjuna as the medium. Actually, Krishna is speaking to us. The Bhagavatam is to speak to us. Whatever we learn, whatever we read in the Bhagavatam, for example, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dealt with certain devotee and how certain devotee dealt with another devotee, or all these nuances, all these things are for us to internalize in our lives. These are all lessons for us. It's not a distant story in the past that we're just reading for entertainment. No. Every single purport and translation and word to word synonym that was written by Prabhupada is to change us. He's not wasting time describing some historical lesson, something. Yes, it is history, but that history is absolutely relevant for me now. Now, every word that I'm reading is an instruction for me. Not that Narada is speaking to Prachetas, or Narada is speaking to Dhruv Maharaj, or Narada is speaking to Prahlad Maharaj, or the Navayogendras are speaking to Maharaj Nimi. Yes, they are. But through them, they are speaking to us. I am the student here. No matter who is the student in the dialogue there, I am the student of that conversation. It is entirely meant for me. Because what is the Parishad Maharaj said what? What is the duty of a man, especially the person who's about to die? And who is not about to die? Am I not about to die? I am. And therefore, I must understand that. I must understand that. And therefore, I have to take it up seriously. So, time is a good prodder. It gives that urgency. It prods us. Hey, take your life seriously. Take your life seriously. Your so and so has passed away. Your hair is starting to become white. Your skin is going to have having wrinkles now. You're having more and more diseases. The strength is going down. More and more of your people near and dear are going away. All these are reminders for our own death. What am I doing about it? So that's the push. So we do something about it. And we should be greedy. And in order to be greedy, just pick up the activities of devotional service that are given to us. There's nothing new that we need to do. We just have to pick up and then do it every day. Natural relish will come as long as we are doing it every day and with full faith and not committing offenses. The natural relish will come. There is nothing that can stop it. The only thing that can stop it is our offenses. Personal experience. I mean, over all these years, when the mind goes awry, it's only when I have committed some offense. You look at the 10 offenses, one of them or more of them I have committed, and only because of that, my mind is now unstable. So, how to bring back? We can't even think straight when our mind is agitated like that. So, we just have to chant Hare Krishna and read, let the mind settle, and eventually we will see everything in its proper perspective. And our offenses will cease. That's why we have to be humble. If we are not humble, we will commit offenses. For sure, we're going to commit offenses. So we have to be humble all the time. All the time. And humble, what does humble mean? It means everything. In every aspect, we have to be humble. Physically, we have to be humble. That means I have to physically serve devotees. I have to serve devotees. Then, in my words, I have to be humble. I have to be gentle with devotees. And I have to carry out the order of my spiritual master, which includes my mind, my body and words, where I have to preach to others. And when I'm if a person is arguing with me, I have to be humble, but not to that person, to Krishna. And if that means I have to put my point in a forceful way, I have to. I am being humble to Krishna, not to atheistic elements. No. Then my mind, I have to be always humble. Intellectually, I have to be humble. I have to be always. What is intellectual humility? That means, am I prepared to learn, no matter who the teacher is? We are taught to learn from a tree, a grass. So many gurus we can have, right? But even in the person who is telling and right instruction, but maybe even not in the right with the right mood, Like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us this thing. When somebody was, what is that? Ramachandra Puri. He was criticizing, oh, what is this? You are sannyasi and you're eating so much. Because he was eating in everybody's house. So many people, devotees were inviting him to their houses and, having huge feasts. And even Amogha also, he also criticized Lord Chaitanya like that. But Lord Chaitanya took it in this way that, yes, actually what he's saying is that sannyasi should not eat so much. So I will do it. So that is humility. Now, I'm not saying that somebody should, if somebody is blaspheming, we should just allow him to blaspheme. No. But if the blasphemy is directed towards me, then I should just be humble. Yes, I'm actually a fallen soul. Thank you for reminding me. In fact, I was thinking I'm this big devotee, but you have called me so many ill names. Yes, actually, that's what I am. Thank you for reminding me. Internally, at least, even if we don't say it out to the perpetrator, internally we should take it like that. Only then we can keep our mind safe. Intellectual humility is, I should learn from anybody, and even if a child says something, even if without realization, and if it's insightful something, I have to acknowledge that and I should learn from that. That's why when we are sitting in the class and somebody is giving, even if he's junior to me, just started his Krishna conscious lifetime, and he speaks something which is making sense, I should take that. Oh, because he spoke, I already know this. If I have that attitude, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to put into practice what is. That means I'm not interested in the knowledge. I just want to show that I'm great. I know this thing, I know that thing, I know this thing. Okay, if I really know, then why am I so puffed up? Why am I so puffed up? What am I proud of? Nirmamo nirahankara. If that has not come about, what have I understood? So, intellectual humility, mental humility, physical humility, verbal humility. Of course, our mind and intelligence, if they are humble, if we are humble in all our, humble means at all these levels. And also, humble means to always carry out the order of the spiritual master. Because have I become so big that I don't need to execute the order of the spiritual master? Have I renounced that? So, that is humility. That he has given me order, I have to carry it out. Who am I to say no? Humility. So, I have to always have that. And not just out of the, I have to also enthuse myself by understanding what kind of order this is. What is the value of this order? Oh, my Guru Maharaj ordered me to sell books. Oh, okay, I will go out and sell some books. Not like that. We should understand why did my Guru Maharaj order me? Why did Prabhupada order us to sell books? What is the value of that? How valuable it is? What kind of a great opportunity this is, that to participate in the Lord's personal mission for which He comes down to this world. That I'm doing by distributing books and training people to become devotees and to distribute books further, to train them to distribute books. So all these things are absolutely engaging in the real mission for which the Lord comes here. So my Guru Maharaj is engaging me. He has given me a job. He has employed me in the service of the Lord. This is such a great service. It's a privilege. So with that, we have to execute the order of the Lord. So we have to always understand what great treasure we have and not waste our life, our lifetime. The body will be finished, but we should utilize our time in Krishna's service in all these different ways, and then we will attain our perfection of life. That is the proper study of time. Proper study of time. So, okay, I will stop it here and I'll take any questions relative to this topic. Don't shoot me questions which are not related to this topic. Yes. This was one of the things I was going to say. Lomarsha Muni, which is mentioned here. Um, Lomarsha Muni had a lifetime so long that when Brahma dies, Brahma lives for 311 trillion 40 billion years of our time, unimaginable lifetime. But Lomarsha Muni got a benediction that he, when Brahma dies, one hair of his body will fall. And likewise, when all the hairs of his body fall, that's when he will die. Imagine how many thousands and thousands and I don't know, millions of Brahma's lifetime he has to live. That's a long lifetime. But one day he was just chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Narad Muni was passing by. Did not even have a proper cottage for himself, Lomarsha Muni. Narad Muni was smiling. What? Um, Swamiji, what are you doing here? How come at least have a proper shelter? It's raining, it's hot sun, all these things you're enduring. At least make your shelter proper. Lomarsha Muni said there is no time. That's a time waste. Yeah, never mind. I'll just tolerate the rain and the sun. Let me chant the holy name. So you see how focused he was. He had all time in the world, but he was saying so. And we here, we don't know when we're going to die. Any moment we can die. Before even one hair falls, we will die. We may die. And we are thinking as if we have for eternity, as if we have a lifetime of Lomarsha Muni. We are thinking. That's the irony. Okay, so let me go all the way to the beginning and see if we have this purport is a changed version, right? Yeah, this is, I think, not the 1972 version. Somebody is asking, can you speak in Bengali? No, I can't. What is human? Start reading Bhagavad Gita, please. Okay, I'll read. I will see any relevant comments. Some Ramanandi tradition people say that Sakyat Loka is higher than Goloka Vrindavan, and they take reference from Adi Ramayana, Sudarshan Samhita, Vasishta Samhita, etc. So what happens in that Sakyat Loka? There's nothing higher than Goloka Vrindavan. I don't know what happens in that Sakyat Loka. I've never heard. First of all, the Ramanandi tradition itself has some impersonal tint. And Prabhupada said that even Tulsidas, who wrote the Ramcharitmanas, he is from Ramanandi Sampradaya, and they have a mixture of personalism and impersonalism, which is not bona fide. Why would father son become evil? If the father is eternal and only created mango fruit seed, should be mango, not banana. The seed is mango, but the seed can be bad and rotten seed also. So there is free will. There is free will. Like even in this world, we see father can be good, son can be bad. Father can be bad, son can be good. Like Hiranyakashipu was an absolute demon. Prahlad Maharaj was an absolute devotee. So things can happen like that. That doesn't mean it's a different species. Not that Hiranyakashipu was an elephant and Prahlad Maharaj was a mouse. No. So I don't know what kind of argument is this. Of course, we can be overpowered by stupidity and we can do something stupid, even though our father is totally intelligent. So That's our independence. We have independence to do. And if we misuse our independence, then otherwise there's no independence. There's no independence otherwise. If we have to be just good and we cannot be bad, then there's no independence. So we should have independence. Not we should, we do have independence. Otherwise, we are not part and parcel of the Lord. The Lord is supremely independent. We are His part and parcel. So we should have independence, but we have very minute independence, whether to serve Krishna or not. Otherwise, how are we parts and parcels of the Lord if we do not have independence? And what is the meaning of love? Love means voluntarily I want to serve the Lord. Not that I'm a slave of the Lord, I have to serve the Lord whether I like it or not. No, that is not love. So love means there has to be independence, and I have to voluntarily surrender that independence and serve the Lord. So that's love. Otherwise, there's no love if there's no independence. Govind, if God created everything, then why evil isn't God's son? Arey, you first of all read some Bhagavad Gita, at least you will understand something. Simply asking questions. Same, evil is also God's son. Like, what is evil? Forget, like Maya is understood to be evil. But evil is good if I become evil. For example, the prison is not a very nice department of the government. There, the people are punished. And the educational department is a very encouraging department, and the prison is a very discouraging department. But both are necessary because some idiots will go there, criminals, and then they have to be dealt with accordingly. And the others who are actually good, they will be, education department and other departments which are more encouraging departments of the government. So it has to be there. Yeah, there's a Govind person. Okay. Govind is saying soul is a fraud. Okay, you know what? You got no brains. Don't waste your time and everybody else's time. Just go and read Bhagavad Gita. Not believing blindly like Acharya. Yeah, you are blind, first of all. Whatever you are believing is blind. You have no brain to understand there is Atma. If you have a little bit intelligence, you will understand that there is Atma, there is reincarnation. All these are common sense things. If you apply a little bit intelligence, if you have some of it, yeah. If you can't see it, then there is a lack of intelligence there. So don't say we are blind here. You are blind if you say that there is no soul, there is no Atma. Don't be too proud of your useless knowledge, of total ignorance. Just be humble, read the Bhagavad Gita with a sane mind, peaceful mind. You will understand that there is Atma. I have actually explained. Anyway, I don't want to repeat myself. You just go and read Bhagavad Gita. Okay, there was some glitch there in the live stream. Okay, let me go to more meaningful comments here. Oh, this is so many comments. Dalits are also Sanatani. No, see, we are Sanatan. Every person is a Sanatani. Every soul is a Sanatan. Even the dog is Sanatani. Because everybody is Sanatan. Even the cockroach. But Sanatani is not a Hindu, and somebody is saying a way of living. Religion means a way of living. A way of living by the order of God. That is religion. Dharma. So this shallow descriptions we should not have. What is way of living? Religion. Way of living by the order of God. Following the order of God. That way of life is called dharma. Anyway. But we have to follow the dharma. Not by being born as this and that you become Sanatan dharma follower. No, no, no. You have to actually act. Otherwise you are a rascal. Mlecha Yavana. Not Sanatan dharma follower. Is time has start and finish, or time is just there? Time, eternal time is always there. We have start and finish because we are allotted a certain quota in a lifetime. For us, therefore, there is start and finish. Time itself is eternal. So Srishti is asking, in quantum physics, there is a phenomenon proved with experiments that subatomic particles like electrons, protons, photons, etc., knows that they are being watched and acts differently compared to when they are not observed. It means as if they are conscious of being watched. Yes, I have watched this. I have watched the videos on this one. From this, we can conclude that it's happening because of Kshirodaksha Vishnu residing in them. Well, the Lord can bewilder, yeah, as Paramatma Andantarastha Parmanu Chayantarastham. The Lord is there in every single atom. So, yeah, He is there and He can bewilder um, anyone. And sometimes matter acts like it has consciousness. Matter has no consciousness, but the Lord is conscious and He arranges matter in ways that has effects as if they're conscious. Like, for example, the law of karma. If somebody does something and then he gets it back in return, unseen forces are acting. It's as if the the time and the circumstances, everything came back to make that soul pay back for what he has done. So it's as if automatically it's happening, as if it was watched. But that's what, for example, this verse says 6142. सूर्योऽग्निः खं मरुद्देवः सोमः सन्ध्याहनी दिशः कं कुः स्वयं धर्म इति हेते दैह्यस्य साक्षिणः. The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and Supersoul himself all witness the activities of the living entity. So it's not just they are being watched, they watch us. And that's how they know they are being watched. So it's not a they, it's actually the demigods controlling these things. And ultimately, the Supersoul, which is mentioned here, सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत् सर्वतोक्षशिरोमुखं सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके सर्वमावृत्य तिष्ठति. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul, Paramatma, exists, pervading everything. So we are being watched, we are being heard, everything is recorded. everything. So we don't need to learn quantum physics, and when we see that, of course, we already have that knowledge from Bhagavad Gita. But when we say from Bhagavad Gita, people say, this is your belief, you go and this is all some superstition and all that. But when it's coming with quantum physics, oh, it's all very scientific thing. They are being watched, and it's behaving differently. Um, when we watch it and we don't watch it, it behaves differently. The result is different. So it's quantum physics, a very complicated phenomenon. Big words. But when the Lord says, "Oh, sorry, I'm actually covering the screen." Okay, I've been covering the screen all along. I keep forgetting because in this vertical live, the comments go on top. So he's saying, Bhagavad Gita is saying, everywhere the Lord is there and he's watching everything. When the Lord says, oh, that is all belief. When quantum physics, oh, it's a physics, science, tested, proven. So whatever you see only, that is true, is it? So before quantum physics came about, so it was not acting in that way. It was acting, right? They were behaving in the same way. Just that somebody has noticed and something so they were watching you. You did not watch the phenomenon. When you start to watch the phenomenon, that's when the phenomenon came into existence, or the phenomenon also already was existing before we watched it, before we noticed it. The truth of the matter is the phenomenon is always in existence. So things are already there going on in a certain way. When I notice, that's not when the things came into existence. So when we learn from the Lord, when we learn from the scriptures, and just have faith in them instead of wasting our time, researching some big quantum physics PhD and everything, and to find out that we are being watched. Well, in one verse, Krishna is already saying you are watched everywhere, and you're heard also. Whatever you're talking also is heard. Whatever you're doing is also watched. Don't think you're escaping anything. There's nothing you can escape. Which then comes to morality. Whereas now in this quantum physics, oh, we are being watched, whether we are watching it or not. So there is no implication of morality there. Okay, we are being watched. Does that now evolve into the understanding that, okay, if we are being watched, that means there is evidence everywhere, and then there is that witness can be used against us in the court of justice of Yamaraj, and I will be punished for that. So I better conduct myself properly because I am being watched. Is that conclusion coming into effect? No. That's the problem with modern science. Whereas if we learn with Bhagavad Gita, this same understanding will be there that we are being watched, in fact, much more sophisticated than what the quantum physics tells us. But also the moral implication that, oh, if I'm being watched, then that evidence will be used against me and I will be punished for that. So then that means, irrespective of whether other people are watching me or not, I'm always being watched by the Lord, and I rather conduct myself properly then. That is the implication. So Anumanta, Upadrashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. So he is the overseer, he is seeing everything, and he's giving us permission, or he's awarding us the results of our actions according to what we deserve, according to what we did before. Where is the record? Well, the Lord is recording everything. Unlimited database he has. So like that we have to understand. Okay. Eleven 8:42. Actually, I was wanting to show this verse 4:24:66. प्रमत्तमुच्चैरिति कृत्य चिन्तया प्रवृद्धलोभं विषयेषु लालसं त्वमप्रमत्तः सहसाभिपद्यते क्षुल्लेलिहानो हिरिवाखुमन्तकः. My dear Lord, all living entities within this material world are mad after planning for things, and they're always busy with the desire to do this or that. This is due to uncontrollable greed. The greed for material enjoyment is always existing in the living entity, but your Lordship is always alert, and in due course of time, you strike him just as a snake seizes a mouse and very easily swallows him. 11.842. Okay. आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो गोप्ता निर्विद्येत यथा यदाखिलात् अप्रमत्त idam pashyed grastam kala hina jagat. Kala, time. Ahina, ahi, serpent. Ahina, by the serpent. When the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, he becomes sober and sane, and at that time detaches himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector. And that's because he takes the protection of the Lord. He takes shelter of the protection of the Lord. Because until then, he is not his own protector. He is called Atmaha. No. He acts against his own, what is that? Swartha, self-interest. He acts against his own self-interest. Nivritta tarshairupagiyamanat bhavaushadhat shrotra manobhiramat ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vina pashughnat. Hey, Nataretsa Atmaha. Okay. This is not this one. What am I saying? 10, 11, 20, 17. Yeah, this one. Nirdehamadyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanukulena nabhasvateritam puman bhavabdhim nataretsa atmaha. Atmaha, the killer of his own soul. Here, he is not a protector of his own soul because he did not take shelter of the Lord. He is just acting whimsically. The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds impelling it on its course. So there are so many advantages in the human body. The body is a perfectly constructed boat, the guru is the captain, the instructions of Krishna are the favorable wind. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. He is not a protector of his own soul. So, Ishopanishad, Mantra 3. Asuryanam te loka andhena tamasavritah tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha ye ke cha atmahano janaha. Atmahanaha means what? The killers of the soul. Persons who are killers of the soul. They are not protecting the soul, the self-interest of the soul. They are throwing themselves into the cycle of birth and death. They are not protecting themselves. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. What is the killer of the soul? The soul cannot be killed, right? What is this Atmahana? What is this? This killing the spiritual position of the soul, not engaging in devotional service, throwing themselves into this matter, into this cycle of repeated birth and death and ocean of suffering. ISKCON was doing Krishna Veen. Should it be done? I think, and this is in conjunction with that thing I was saying, that people have, there are so many days which are important for the materialistic people, and one of them, I think, in the West is Halloween, and they were doing Krishna Veen, it seems. rubbish. You can do a exhibition of Yamadutas, Yamaraj, and the 28 gates of hell, and show that this will be the end result if we don't take to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, take to Krishna consciousness. I mean, the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease, they are the Halloween. So we have to come out of that. Okay, what else? We have somebody's asking who is Sadguru. Well, I have already mentioned that he's a rascal. Now, anything connected with the class, okay. 12.4.33 is also related. 12.4.33. Let's go to 12.4.33. This is about destruction. घनो यदार्क प्रभवो विदीर्यते चक्षुस्वरूपं रविमीक्षते तदा यदा हि अहंकार उपाधिरात्मनो जिज्ञासया नश्यति तर्हि अनुस्मरेत्. When the cloud originally produced from the sun is torn apart, the eye can see the actual form of the sun. Similarly, when the spirit soul destroys the material covering of false ego by inquiring into the transcendental science, he regains his original spiritual awareness. So our inquiry, that's why this Tattva Jignasa, Athato Brahma Jignasa, this Jignasa will pierce through the coverings, all this will cut, it's scissors. So this knowledge, that's why it's considered always compared to a sword, will cut through this blanket of illusion and reveal the supreme absolute truth. Material covering, this blanket is the false ego, material covering of false ego. Maya Javanikachannam. CC Madhya Kalam Nashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijamya. What is that? 6255. Oh, this verse. Kalanashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijamya Pradushkartum Krishna Chaitanya Nama Avirbhutastasya Padar Vinde Gadham Gadham Liyatam Chitta Bhringa. From misuse of material propensities and attachment to fruitive activities and speculative knowledge over the course of time, Nashtam destroyed Bhakti Yogam, the science of devotional service, Nijam, which is applicable to him only. Let my consciousness, which is like a honeybee, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has just now appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach the ancient system of devotional service to himself. This system had almost been lost due to the influence of time. Yes, I made note of that before. I forgot about it. What if animal commits suicide? Does he have to continue with the same body, or is it counted as term finished? You know, that's one thing about the animals. They're not stupid. They don't commit suicide. They always try to protect themselves. Always try to stay alive. Only humans have that stupidity of committing suicide. The animals don't. Animals don't commit suicide. Their desire is always to live. We also, that is our original desire. We just get frustrated and we think suicide is the answer. Does some ghosts have animal type bodies? Animals don't become ghosts. But Sundar Prabhu, who can see ghosts, he was mentioning at one time that there was this ghost which attacked him, tried to attack him. He was having chicken-like feet. Like, it was very weird. And he chanted Namaste Narasimha, and the ghost could not be there. But they don't have. They are higher than human beings. Animal does not become ghost. Now, we do not know exactly. Some you are mentioning about a dolphin committing suicide. We do not know what exactly is going on in the mind of the dolphin, and we can't really say whether he wanted to kill himself or whether he was thinking of whether he mentally deranged or don't know what he was doing. We don't really know. But by nature, they don't commit suicide. Vishwas Bhushan is saying, Sir, if I worship Shiva or Hanuman and my devotion is pure and I am emotionally attached to them, how can I lean towards Krishna? Or should I continue my worship Shiva or Hanuman? All gods are equal. All gods are not equal. Hanuman never said I am Ram. Don't be so stupid. So Shiva did not say I am Bhagwan. Shiva always is meditating. And when Parvati asked him, whom are you meditating on? He said Vishnu. So the problem is we do not read our Shastras. If you have devotion without Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina, Pancharatra Vidhim Vina, Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpataya eva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. So our bhakti is not, we cannot be emotionally attached. No. Our emotions are useless for all practical purposes. They're useless for all practical purposes. They are the ones which have kept us in this material world because of our emotions, because of our attachment. So even when we are worshipping, we cannot be emotionally attached. Nothing will come out like that. No perfection will happen. You see what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Shreyan dravyamaya yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karmakhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. O chastiser of the enemy, the sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. We have to perform the sacrifice in knowledge. All sacrifices of work culminate in transcendental knowledge. And for that knowledge, where you have to go? Next verse. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanin astatvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. You have to have a guru. How have we forgotten? Our Sanatana Dharma, everybody has a guru. They used to have a guru. Now we just do whatever we want, whatever we like. My favorite god is this, my favorite this is that. What are you doing favorite nonsense? We have to know what is what, actual knowledge from Guru first. So yes, Hanuman is a great devotee of Lord Ram. Shiva is a great devotee of Lord Krishna and Narayana. So we have to take inspiration from them how to become a devotee of Krishna. And we just can't take inspiration out of thin air. We have to follow the order of the spiritual master coming down in the proper disciplic succession, parampara. And Prabhupada is that guru for us. We don't need to search anymore. We just take his books and associate with the devotees and become devotee nicely. So we just can't have this emotional attachment. That is, it's not. Your emotions should be based on Shastra. Who is actually God? You have to understand that before investing your emotions into that person. We have utmost respect for Hanuman and Lord Shiva as devotees of Krishna, not as God themselves. They are not God. They never claimed themselves to be God. Who are you to say they are God when they themselves said they are not God? Did Hanuman ever say that I am Ram or I am greater than Ram? Always devotee of Ram. Ram Duta Hanuman. So it is an insult to worship Hanuman as God. It is an insult to him. And an insult to Ram also. So we have to understand Hanuman is a devotee of Ram. We have to understand things in the proper perspective, and we can only do that when we read the Shastras. Shastras are Krishna's words guiding us how to do bhakti. If we reject the whole Shastra and I don't want to do my way, you think Krishna will accept? You think God will accept? He will not. Read the books. Get a Bhagavad Gita as it is copy from your local Hare Krishna temple there. Bhagavad Gita as it is. No other edition of Bhagavad Gita. Every other edition is useless for all practical purposes. It does not give you any benefit at all. It will take you to hell, in fact, if anything. And I'm not saying this because I'm a fanatic. Avaishnava mukhodgirnam putam harikathamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yatha payah. It is said, if a Avaishnava, who's not a Vaishnava, if he speaks about Krishna or writes about Krishna anything, it is poison. Just like milk can be nectarian and nutritious, but if it is touched by the lips of a snake, it is poison now. It cannot be treated as milk. Oh, it is milk only, I will drink milk. No, no, no. It is touched by a snake, it is now poison. Similarly, Harikatha is Amrita, but if it is touched by the lips of a non-devotee, snake-like non-devotee, it is poison. So get Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam. Get these two books. Bhagavatam is actually a set of 18 books or 44 books, whether it is big or small, whichever. Get to your local Hare Krishna ISKCON temple or something, or ISKM, whichever. Get these books and start reading. Then you will know what is what. Then you will know that you have to become a devotee of Krishna. There is no other way. Veda Narayana Sakshat. Vaishnava is not one sect of Hinduism, one sect of Sanatan Dharma. No, no, no. It is the Sanatan Dharma. Everything else is not Sanatan. Worshipping Ganesh is not Sanatan because Ganesh is not Sanatan. The demigods and we and the entire material world is going to be destroyed at the time of Pralaya, which is the time of Lokakshayakrit. Lokakshayakrit means all lokas in this material world. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartin Arjuna. From the topmost Brahma Loka planet to the lowest Patala Loka planet, everything will be destroyed. And the demigods in those planets also will be destroyed. So that is not Sanatan. Only Krishna worship is Sanatan. Because Krishna is Sanatan, we are Sanatan. Yes, Ganesh is a living entity. As a living entity, he is Sanatan. But his post as Ganesh or somebody's post as this Indra, this is not Sanatan. If you worship them, this is not Sanatan Dharma. Yes, it is a some demigod worship. It is temporary benefits. Antavattu phalam tesham. If you want Sanatan Dharma, then you should know that you are Sanatan, the Lord is Sanatan, Krishna is Sanatan. Our relationship with Krishna is Sanatan, and only cultivating that relationship is Sanatan Dharma. Don't get mistaken. Okay. So this is why we have to read the books first. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Read them. They are the essence of all Vedic literature. And Vaishnavism is not a sect. It is Sanatan Dharma. And the Vedas are the breathing of Mahavishnu. The Lord Vishnu. Krishna first imparted the knowledge to Brahma. So Vedo Narayana Sakshat. Veda are Narayana himself. So Vedascha Sarver Ahameva Vedya. Krishna is saying from all the Vedas study, Vedic study, I am to be known and I have to be surrendered to. All your Vedic study should lead to surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, your Vedic study is useless. So that proper study of Vedas you will get under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. That's why I'm saying take Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and start reading them. Once you read, you will be very clear. Okay. 1, 13, 21 and 22. Yeah, all that. Vidura's sharp words. Okay, let's go on. What this is going to be. What is the time? Almost 11 here. It's getting very late. I have to wake up at 1 o'clock. We have to go to the market to get vegetables. Every Thursday that is done. So I have just 2 hours before I have to wake up. So I don't want to go much longer. Yeah, all this. So Antya 878, what is that? This is from 11th Canto, 28th chapter. One should see that because of the meeting of material nature and the living entity, the universe is acting uniformly. Thus, one should neither praise nor criticize the characteristics or activities of others. Okay. How do we maintain our enthusiasm if maintaining oneself becomes difficult? We never said don't maintain yourself. Body and soul must be maintained. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata. We have to maintain the body and soul together. And then, rest of the time, use it for tattva jignasa. Okay. How to be Sthita Prajna? Well, it is not Sthita Prajna, Sthita Prajna. Well, one has to become Krishna conscious, chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, follow all the principles. How can we get forgiveness for all the mistakes we have committed, and how can we know that we are forgiven so that we can die to never be born in this painful material world? Yeah. So we will know when we are forgiven when we can uninterruptedly think of Krishna without cessation, without any gap. Then we are completely freed from all material conditioning. And that is a sign. So we have to observe how much am I thinking of Krishna, how much I'm deviated by other things. So that is the test. If you're completely remembering Krishna all the time without even a single microsecond missing, well, that is, then I have completely achieved all perfection, all offenses stopped, everything. How to remove curtains of Maya? By becoming Krishna conscious. Again, the same answer: chanting Hare Krishna, reading Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, all Prabhupada's books, waking up for Mangalarti, eating only Krishna Prasadam, associating with devotees, and eventually getting initiated, deity worship, all these things. In my workplace, Christians, they say they don't believe in rebirth, cycle of birth and death. How to answer them neatly so that they can understand and believe? Well, it's very easy. If there is no rebirth, then why are there different species and different situations that are right from the time of birth itself? Why is somebody born rich and somebody born poor? What is the reason? The only reason is because of previous karma. That means he existed previously. If you take that out, there is no explanation that can be, there is no logical explanation that can be given. There's no logical explanation. You read our book, Science of Self-Realization, and Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, Beyond Birth and Death, then your arguments will become very, very sharp. And of course, our Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. For a start, you can read the small books and understand all these things. Coming Back, the book called Coming Back, that book. Mm. According to you, Shiva and his son is not Vaishnav? No, they are Vaishnav. They are Vaishnavas. They are not God. They are not Bhagavan. They are Vaishnav. What is Brahmacharya? Well, this is unrelated questions. Please ask related questions. Where are you from? What are you asking? None of your business. We are all from Vaikuntha. We are wasting our bloody time here. Finish our nonsense here and go back to Krishna. Yeah, it became an AMA session. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of it. Thank you very much. जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण. Thank you all very much for your time. I'll see you again on Saturday probably. No, probably not this Saturday actually. We have a book distribution. So maybe next week only. Hare Krishna. Oh, another question. If Shiva is a Vaishnav, then why is Shaivism a different sect? Hello, this is not the topic of this today's class at all. Ask questions related to the topic. You are not even listening to what the topic is and simply asking whatever you want. Don't do that. It is different sect because people are just They're just doing whatever they want. They're not listening to Lord Shiva, what Lord Shiva has to say. Lord Shiva is saying, please worship Krishna. That's what he's saying. You can read the Rudra Gita of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rudra Gita is all about glorifying Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna. So anyway, you don't ask questions like this. Please start reading our books first. Okay, this is not a frivolous question and answer session. We're trying to understand the subject deeply. Learn how to ask questions properly, please. Okay. If you want to learn about somebody wants to learn about brahmacharya, sorry, that's not the topic here. Hare Krishna.